in a half-lit world. I'm frightened to believe in a half-lit world. I must try.
Dudes! Uber babes! I'm back to do another painting, and this time with a little bit different physical setup, which is a lot easier for me. Instead of having this on top of like 10 books, and hold on a second. I was hearing myself in the background. Instead of having that on the top of a bunch of books and me standing up on like a step stool, so like it could get the phone closer to the art, so you weren't seeing, you're able to see some detail. I finally was able to change the setup, which is still sort of a jerry-rigged kind of thing. I've got a tripod over there, and then hooked up to the tripod arm I've got a selfie stick that I can pull out even a little bit farther if I need to, this direction. And it's about, let's see how much space between the camera and the art, about 10 inches. So that's not too bad. I'll have to move it around sometimes to see certain elements, but at least you can see closer, so you can hopefully see a little more detail. So anyway, for the inaugural, oh, hold on a second, I have to answer the door. Sorry folks, we're getting ready to trying to sell our house, so sometimes we have people coming to look at the house, so I just had to answer the door. So anyway, we have the goddess of earth, Olivia Munn, and I've got a couple different poses here that I use for this combination of things for a commission for somebody. And I'm going to be using these FW inks again. So I'm just going to get started here. This is going to be a little step-by-step process. It's not going to be a big bunch of wash, although I'll put something around in the background at some point. So I think I'll start out with basically the flesh tones, a mix of the actual flesh tone and red in this case, and then I'll be using some violet for some of the shadows because her costume will be partially violet, and the background probably a little bit of violet and blue because it'll be the like lightning bolt energy action going on around her. And there's a variety of music this time. Right now it's Tim Bonus, or Bones, probably Bonus, of No Man. All right, let's start painting the goddess. The goddess Munn. And this paper, I can tell already, is a different stock than the last couple sketch covers I've done, the paint is sliding around on it more, so it's possible it won't be quite as smooth an application or finish as the last one. The last couple ones soaked in sometimes a little bit too much, but you did get a more even tone. And anywhere your brush stops, like right here, you're going to leave a little dot of color unless you're careful. So I might dry my brush off, and while it's still wet, try and get it to stop at a point where there might be a shadow anyway, which is right under this leather thing here. And there's not a ton of flesh. Well, I guess there's still these shoulders. Once I get this basic flesh tone in, I'll go in and start adding shadows and stuff. And thanks anybody and everybody for coming by. I may not get Shiflett Brothers level action, but it's nice to have anybody come by. And I'm going to have a cookie. That's right. It is good. And I made them. That's right, Red. I am nothing if not high class. I think this is Radiohead right now. So because this paper is a little slicker, I'm not going to get as good a blend as I'm usually used to getting. Yeah, no, that's good. Feel free. So sometimes you'll get spotting like this, you know, where the brush ended. I got to be careful of that. Hopefully this phone isn't vibrating too much, because it's sort of on a little bit of a precarious It's just sticking out on this arm and it's taped at the table, so if the table moves, the phone will probably move. Like right now. Stop. One day I'll have a real setup. I am not going to be able to do justice to the monster here on this paper, but I will do the best I can. Oh, that's right, she has some leg flesh showing. Forgot about that. Plus, if you get your hands on this kind of paper, you can get the oil of your skin on here, like right here, I think I did. And you can, it doesn't, the paper doesn't accept the ink like it should. Yeah, I can see this. I think this phone is moving a little bit too much. I'm going to have to think of a way to secure it a little bit better. Oh, Rich, you probably shouldn't be watching them. I would assume you would want to be surprised with the end result, but maybe you want to watch it be made. Rich is the guy I'm doing this for, and the next one that I'll be getting to soon. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry, I just had to check on the potential buyers. Hey, 15 people watching? That might be a little bit of a record. And now we have to hear the dogs bark for a little bit because there's someone in the backyard. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? Humans I don't know, voices I don't recognize. I am going to proceed to go apeshit. That's the dog speaking, by the way, not me. Oh, and right now, the music is Hope Sandoval, who is, among other things, a vocalist of Mazzy Star. Yeah, Rich, this is a really good reference. Yes, I could look at this reference all day long. Good choice, Rich. But as you probably can tell, I think Olivia Munn would look fine in a Flintstones outfit or something. Doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, to quote Bill Murray. It just doesn't matter. So right now I'm just sort of part fighting this paper, part trying to establish the flesh tone, the variations, the slight variations. Yeah, I know I'm not the only one that likes. I'm sure Bill Mouse, who just joined us, likes her a lot too. That lech. I just immortalized Bill's words. Well, as immortalized as it can be in a little video like this. Or Bill's name, I mean. I think I need to change to a smaller brush for a little bit here. Yeah, you, Bill. You with your pretty girl drawings. I still have that drawing, Bill, in my sketchbook, portrait of you and Kat, ready to be painted, but unfortunately I've had other stuff that I've had to do, so I haven't been able to get back into the sketchbook lately. Way too dark on that. And now we have Brendan Perry, one of the vocalists from Dead Can Dance. Well, Bill, in your defense, I am working from reference, so I can paint stuff out of my head to some degree, but I did it really probably a lot more in the past. I need to do more of it. I've been working so much on reference lately, or with reference.
I can see it in your eyes. They can stir the empty lie. I can see it in your smile. I give you an inch, you take a mile. Politician, model citizen.
And thanks for sharing, Amanda. Anyone who shares, I really appreciate it. That means more people see it. Time for more cookie. Alright, now I'm going to get a little violet. Get some of these shadows a little darker in the flesh.
So rich men can reap the rewards. Politician, model citizen. Politician,
I wonder if it's because I'm painting Olivia Munn that
cold ambition.
there's more viewership than usual. That sort of makes sense. Olivia, if you're out there, give me a call. I thought she was great in the Newsroom, one of my favorite shows anyway. But she had a really cool, smart, even but still geeky character. Oh, hey, Will. This is an X-Men related character called Psylocke that Olivia Munn played in one of the recent X-Men movies. Some call her Psylocke, some call her Munn. I just call her Goddess. Now, I don't know if the character's eyes are violet. I cannot remember, but I'm going to make them violet. Bill, these are FW inks. They're technically acrylic inks. So I use them like watercolor, but like acrylics, once an area is dry, you can't change it. You can go on top of it and add stuff, but you don't disturb what you've already put down like you would with watercolor. I tend to use them a lot lately, and they're pretty saturated, which is another reason why I like them. Oh, and now we're going to hear some Julie Cruz, who did the Twin Peaks music. In the background, the dogs. These people looking at the house are staying a fair amount longer than others. That might be a good sign. Have to be really careful around some of these really tiny areas, like the nostrils and such. No problem, Bill. That's what I'm here for. I tend to go a little bit slower on these paintings that I video than I do when I'm working on my own. I assume it's a confidence thing, you know, when you're working with no one's watching. When no one's watching, it's a little bit easier. Yeah, Bill, this is a commission for someone. I think Rich, the guy who I'm doing it for, is still watching. And thanks. Getting a likeness is really important to me. It's obviously in cases like this, especially. And sometimes just the tiniest thing that you do wrong can screw up a likeness. I mean, she has definite specific characteristics. Her eyes, her lips, the shape of her mouth, stuff like that. And like anyone, the space between all these things. Yeah, Rich, I thought you already had something from Bill. I thought I saw something from Bill on that picture of your wall, but maybe it must have been someone who was slightly similar in style. Yeah, I am now convinced that the reason I have so many people is because I'm painting Olivia. In fact, Olivia has become the best looking Olivia. It used to have been Olivia Wilde, but now it's Olivia Munn. Maybe about 30 years, 40 years ago or whatever, it was Olivia de Havilland, but now it's the Munster. So I'm actually probably taking more steps to get done what I might normally get done if I was not doing a video of it. I'm just probably taking it a little slower.
Woke up this morning.
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. All right, you can always check this out later, of course, since I post them and they end up in my videos section. People can watch them later.
Left behind me all those years, searching for a common soul. I've been looking for 1,001 distractions to empty my mind of thoughts of loneliness. I've been looking for someone to take away my frustration, but all I find is a sea of death will be my bride.
Very hard to get soft blends on this paper. The ink just sort of slides around on it, so it ends up looking a little rougher, but that's not bad. David Mack is doing an awful lot of stuff lately that is more little pools of color as opposed to softly blended areas blending from one into another. But that's not, it's easier to see and to say than to do without it looking that style, without it looking just sloppy. In fact, this piece might end up being sort of a combination of attempted realistic textures and linear approximations of shading and stuff, like I'm doing right now. Sorry, on this leg, doing more almost cross hatching in this core shadow area. But so far, it looks okay. I mean, and the most important part is really the face, getting that lightness correct. So I'm going to get a little indigo for some of the real darker areas. And a better small brush. So I've mixed a little indigo with a little violet. Yeah.
Just a couple quick questions.
Yeah.
The windows, do you know when about windows were installed?
No, I don't. Any specific windows or just in general?
Just in general, yeah. They look like they were
No.
fairly newer.
Well, I think the guy who owned this place before us did some work on his own,
Okay.
various things.
Okay.
So it's very possible he did play something himself. But we got yeah, I know. Right now, every month is less. sorry, I had to say goodbye to the folks that were looking at the house. So now I'm back to continue painting some of these real dark areas, at least in the skin and stuff. I'll start on the costume here in a minute. And I'm hoping I'll have enough time to totally finish this thing before I pick up my daughter. I gotta leave in about an hour and a half. So we'll see. Oh, and this music right now is the Producers, which is this cool group made up of producers, basically. People who are more known for producing other people. Like Trevor Horn, who produced Frankie Goes to Hollywood, for example, and was in the Buggles and Yes for a while. And I can't remember a couple of the other producers, but in this case, they're all the actual musicians and singers and stuff in the band. Alright, I'll probably adjust the flesh tones once I get all the costume and stuff done, and the hair and such. And also, when I'm done with all this, and maybe most of the background as well, I'll add this sort of butterfly effect that's around her. And I'm just laying in this violet because it'll be some of the lighter areas in the hair. The hand might disappear to some degree because they're both about the same color. But we'll see how I can separate those. I might be separating them by that halo of energy that she produces. I can't remember who this is now, but I think it's largely instrumental song and or group, but I just can't remember who it is. Bill, the stock that they use for these covers varies. The batch that I just finished recently was on a stock that was more conducive to painting. It was more absorbent. It didn't have a slick surface like this, so this is not the best surface for this. It might be a great surface for markers, but it's not a great surface for painting. But the last batch I did was a lot better. I mean, it was almost too absorbent to some degree, but it was better than this. I mean, having said that about the surfaces, you still can get some interesting looks even with these slicker ones. You just have to sort of let yourself settle with the idea of it not being conducive to soft blends and such, and you just have to get used to the idea that you're going to have some puddles and some splotchiness and stuff, and you just got to sort of try to use that to your advantage if you can. But for now, it's time for Cookie. Cookie! Cookie! Alright, I think I'll do a little bit more in the hair. Get a little bit more indigo, violet mixture for these dark areas. I also got to remind myself to move this when I work downward. What the heck? The cat's out. God dang it.
We're lying on the bed and staring at the walls. Our kids practice karate on our dirty wooden floors. Try to ride the wave.
Sorry for the interruptions, people. Well, it's the second cookie read. But anyway, the people who were looking at the house left my daughter's little apartment type thing in the back. The door opened, so I had to go get the cat back in.
Brave dreams and foolish waking. Brave dreams and foolish waking.
That's okay, Red. You know, you can always watch it again later. I know you don't have the same thrill of watching it live, but you'll just have to make do.
And sit without speaking. We're sitting in the car with chains around our necks.
Gotta be real careful around this area because you're
In my dreams,
basically
you always
delineating the outline of the face, which is pretty important.
in my dreams, you never turn away. Brave dreams, foolish waking.
All you missed, Red, was me extolling the virtues of the goddess Munn. So you can always catch that later. You know what would just cause me to have a massive coronary in my brain, as if somehow she found out about this and came and started watching. I probably wouldn't be able to paint, you know? Too much pressure. But I know she has her own geekish tendencies and stuff, so who knows? It's possible. It could happen. Okay, so now I'll start to jump into the costume. All right. First, I want to establish a violet. Violet color on the outer edges of the very dark area of this leather-like stuff. And now we're listening to Portishead. I'll probably have to clean up some of these areas around these fingers later. Add some highlights around the edges so you can actually see the shapes. You become so lost in all the other darkness and textures. Wickety, 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 whack. The hippity hop. And like I said, I might use line work for some various areas instead of trying to get some nice blends, since it's hard to do that with this paper, this particular paper. And now it's time for sheer water. No, now it's time for cookie. I also had a bridge, some dental work done yesterday. So I'm really living dangerously, painting and eating these cookies. Alright, continue with this costume. This is a group that sounds an awful lot like Cocteau Twins, but it's not. It's a group called Snowbird. They're really good. This is going to take longer, I think, than I thought it was going to take. A lot of little details, a lot of little lines and stuff on this costume. And if anybody has any questions or comments, feel free. I'm able to look at them now, so I can answer them usually. Whoops. Oh, come on. Trying to keep the phone charger cord out of the way of the visuals. Now we have David Sylvian, one of my big favorites. Thank you, Mr. Gunman. Men, plural. And it'll really start to look nice and sort of flashy once I get all the color in, and I kind of add little white highlights to show the seams in some of these various bits of leather stuff.
Understand
Just keep going. Don't stop. Just keep going. I'm out of cookie. I might have to go get another cookie just to make it doable. Okay, just keep moving down the costume. Yeah, I tend to work relatively quickly, I guess. I have a feeling I'm probably not going to get this done before I have to pick my daughter up from school, but I will have probably most of it done. when it'll really start to be fun is once I get all this done and I get the background done to a certain degree, and then I go in and start adding all the little highlights and finding areas I need to make darker. Then it really starts to come together. There's an awful lot of building that has to go on initially. And now we're listening to the Postal Service. Eliza, like I've said, she could make burlap look good. But thanks. Ooh, now we're going to listen to, oh God, I forget the name of my favorite new bands. Anathema. I think what I'm going to do is add some nice white highlights to these areas instead of trying to leave them that way. There's one song on this album that I always try and get people to listen to that's really beautiful, like most of the songs on this album, but also has this voice over of this guy talking about a near-death experience that he had. It's really really effective and really affecting. Okay, I think I'm going to darken up a few areas and then I can start on the background. What time is it? Let's see. $1:05. Yeah, I got about 25 minutes, so we'll see how much I can get done. Yeah, and this background too, it's gonna be fairly splotchy. So I'm thinking I should really, I don't know. I think I'm going to, well, you can watch and see. Splotchiness might even work to my advantage to some degree for various reasons. So I'll try to get some flow going here. So not necessarily going for any sort of realism, just some interesting shapes and textures. And I got to be careful with some of these areas so I don't just end up with some messy stuff for no reason. But this is one thing that David Mack does incredibly well, is work with little puddles of color, and ends up with these really beautiful areas that probably aren't totally planned. You know, I mean, you just let the ink flow and maybe stop moving it when it gets to a certain spot that you want to stop at, but you don't direct it with a brush so much. And it just creates a more interesting background than just a fully filled in background. And I will end up adding some various line work for the hair to pull it out from the background. But I've got to get all this done, and then I probably should get all the little energy bolts and stuff done before I worry about what I'm gonna highlight. And I'm going to try and leave this butterfly shape rather than totally paint it in white, but I'll probably add some things around it to define it to some degree more. And I'll also try to make it opaque, or at least somewhat opaque, going over the logo. Oh, sorry, up here. But if I really want it to work, what's going to be tricky is achieving a loose look of violet over this black. So I'll have to mix some violet and white, perhaps, and go over this again. But me, I like the dripping and stuff. I've always liked people that can paint loosely and make it work, because it can be a bit of a trick to have something be loose but not look sloppy, you know. It can be a thin line to tread to sound poetic. And it works to add the color and then some water, and also to add some water after you've laid down the color so they can flow into one another. Leslie, thanks for coming in on your coffee break. I appreciate it. You got to be careful when you're doing something like this where you have a lot of different areas that are wet, that if you move it to get a certain effect in one area, it doesn't like just, you know, flow into another area you don't want it on, like in this case onto the figure. I do want it to be relatively dark right around here just so it can define that torso. But so far it actually looks like it's looking all right.
And I am near
Sorry, I'm moving the phone a little bit. I mean, it's areas like this that I end up liking a lot. You know, where you don't know what it's going to look like until it dries. And that's only by, letting the color sort of flow into the water and vice versa. Sometimes you can direct it by adding a little water around a border of wet color and letting that flow down. But again, I gotta watch this area so nothing flows back. In this case, though, I was lucky I could make the texture of the paper work for me in this case in the background, because it is sort of sliding around on the paper rather than soaking in. Now, the last couple of sketch covers I did on the other stock that was more absorbent, I wouldn't have been able to get this effect because it soaks into the paper so quick. This paper, since it sits on top and slides around some, it gives you an opportunity to do some of these loose, sort of splotchy effects. Okay. Maybe see if there's any areas I need to darken. And I think this right now is Andy Summers and Robert Fripp, I think. Yeah, this is actually, I swear to God, when I'm working on these things at different points during the process, I worry, this is really looking crappy. I don't know if I can pull this off. Happens all the time. But usually, I'm able to make it work by the time it's all done. But I can almost guarantee you that no matter how good the artist is, they can have doubt while they're working on any given piece. And now I think this is Jeff Beck. Oh, Olivia. Why must you be so gorgeous? Okay, well, this is wet. I think I will go ahead and add some of the white effects and see if I can get it to do what I want. It might take a couple coats, especially to, like, say, cover up some of the X, some of the logo here. Whoops, sorry. Always got to remember to move my paper. But I can put this on, and when it's dry, I can add another layer until it gets to the level of opacity that I want. but I will add some water around the edges so there's some soft edges to these. Boy, I mean, I guess I just need to paint Olivia Munn all the time because the actual amount of people watching seems to have stayed relatively high, higher than some of the other ones that I've done. Decide how I'm gonna light this stuff. Now it's time for Red House Painters. Lord, kill the pain. It's a happy song. So now it's a case of going around, adding highlights, sort of tightening up some highlights that got painted over or that I decide I want. So now I'll go ahead and start putting in all the little energy bits here and there. See how much I can get done before I have to leave. Ooh, I think it's time for the cure. Get your black makeup out, folks. Time for Fascination Street. She's electrifying. Olivia Munn is electrifying. I already knew that. Probably should just stop. I think this one's probably done. cool, man. Got some splatter effects. Alright, looks like I was able to get it done. There is the Munn, and I will scan this probably when I get back from picking my daughter up, and so you can see a little bit better version of it. Alright, anyway, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot for comments. Thanks a lot for sharing. Thanks for just being you. See you later.